guys? It's the Speed Channel back once again, and today we are doing a ranking of every single MCU Marvel movie and TV show tier list. Basically, we have these different tiers, S being the best, A being second best, B being third best, C being fourth, and D being bad. So B is obviously the middle, A is pretty good, S is the best, C is okay, or like C is worse than okay, like meh, and then D is like trash. So yeah, let's go ahead and go on to it. So I did not create this, I just found it online, so you guys can do this too if you want to do it. Just go ahead and look up MCU Marvel TV shows and movies tier list ranking, whatever, and you guys can do it for yourselves. I'll actually put a link to it in the description below if you want to make your own just for fun. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and get on with the video. So the first movie they have is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp was an okay movie, not really great in my opinion. I think the first Ant-Man was way better. It's not because of Wasp or anything. I like Hope Van Dyne's take on the Wasp with Scott Lang's Ant-Man. It's pretty cool. Their dynamic is very nice. It's kind of a funny movie, but I feel like the story kind of lacked. It seemed like everybody just wanted to kill everybody. There was never really any story like whatsoever. So yeah, for that reason, it's gonna go in the C category. Also, please ignore these random ads that are coming. I don't know how to get rid of them, so yeah. Next one is Ant-Man, the original one. The Ant-Man original one will go in the B tier. It is a good movie. It's not a bad movie, but there are definitely movies that are better than it in the MCU for sure. It had a decent storyline. I liked the introduction to this new Ant-Man with Scott Lang. Very funny. Sorry, I'm going to try to get rid of this. Okay, so basically, yeah, that Ant-Man had a pretty decent storyline. I liked. It was a pretty funny movie. The action scenes were really cool. Seeing Ant-Man's suit in action, and yeah, and Hank Pym was a really good version of Hank Pym as well. And it was nice to see flashbacks to the past as well with Howard Stark and Peggy Carter, all that stuff. I was really happy to see all that stuff in the movie. Next will be Avengers Age of Ultron. So Avengers Age of Ultron was a B movie again for me. It was a good movie in terms of the action sequences. They were really nice, especially the final battle. That was a really cool scene, especially all the slow-mo scenes with it as well. Very cool. I like the introduction of the plot lines that it had going, but I feel like it had too many plot lines that it didn't capitalize on because it had, first of all, it had the main storyline with the Avengers versus Ultron. I'll get to Ultron in a little bit. And then they also had like some other side storylines, like I know Zemo's came afterwards in Civil War, but still technically it's a storyline. Even though no one really knew about it. It's technically not a storyline, sorry. I probably shouldn't add that in there. Basically, they also had the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they didn't really touch too much into that. It never really explained what happened with them. Just kind of, the MCU kind of just left it alone. So yeah, and then the other things were like Claw's storyline in this. They were obviously teasing him for the Black Panther movies by having him in Age of Ultron. And yeah, while that was cool, they didn't really do much with him except for him giving the vibranium to Ultron. And then Ultron himself, in my opinion, was one of the worst MCU villains because he is such a powerful character in the comics that they really nerfed him down a lot in this movie, and he was really a forgettable MCU villain. I wish he had some kind of drive. The really drive he only had was that he wanted to perfect humanity, kind of the Lizard from the Amazing Spider-Man movie. The first one with Andrew Garfield's first movie. He just wanted to turn everybody into lizards because he wanted to perfect humanity or whatever. Kind of the same thing, but robots instead. So, yeah. Not really too much to say about him. Pretty bad villain, but everything else in the movie was okay. It was good. Avengers Infinity War is going straight to the top. It's a amazing movie. I love it because there's adversity. The heroes actually lose, which obviously we all want to see the heroes win for sure. But it's nice to see the heroes actually go through some actual adversity in a movie and actually have a to be continued part. Um, and this is an awesome movie. I've watched it so many times. It's a hilarious movie. There's the dynamics between each of the characters are hilarious. Both those battle on Titan and the final battle in Wakanda. Both those battles are awesome. Obviously, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but there will be spoilers. Obviously, I'm kind of going through movies, so if you didn't know that was going to happen, now you know. So please click away. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers, so just, yeah. If you want to watch, click away. So yeah, Avengers Infinity War, great movie. I loved everything in that movie. It's very, very good. Captain Marvel. That movie sucked. Okay, I'm just gonna go out and say it. It sucked. The actress herself, whatever you want to talk about, that stuff behind the scenes, whatever. People don't like her. That's completely different. The plot was so generic. It was just her having amnesia, not knowing who she is, coming back to Earth, meeting Nick Fury for fan service and Agent Coulson for fan service, then what's it called? Falling inside of a blockbuster or whatever, and then just finding, her way in the Earth, and then meeting all of her backstory, and they didn't really go back in too much to it. She was kind of just given a short backstory, and that's it. The Skrulls were the best part of that movie, in my opinion. I feel like they really shined. Talos for sure. All those guys are really funny. I like the Skrulls a lot in that movie, though. That's pretty much the only good thing I can say about this movie. The actress herself kind of makes the movie boring. She's just had a very monotone voice, not very much, comedy there. She's just kind of boring. So not much really to say about her. Obviously, there's people who don't like her as an actress. I'm kind of impartial to it because I've only seen her act in this movie and I've never seen her act before, ever. So, yeah, I can't really say too much about her. But overall, the movie was not good. One of the worst Marvel movies. Captain America: Winter Soldier. That will go in the B category. It was a good movie. I liked Falcon's inclusion. Obviously, seeing Bucky back was awesome. Black Widow was a great part of this movie. She was really, really, really powerful in this movie. I think she was one of the best fighting. She had some of the best fighting scenes in this movie and in the MCU, as a whole. She did really good fighting scenes. She was really cool. She was a really good addition to Steve Rogers, Captain America. Both those two superheroes with Falcon going to find Bucky. Oh my God, this movie had amazing action in it. Story lacked a little bit. The whole Nick Fury faking his death thing. I know it's a very Nick Fury thing to do, but they didn't really explain what happened to it. They just said he faked his death. They saw him on a bed, whatever, hospital bed. That's pretty much it. It wasn't really too much in depth with the plot. I kind of didn't like the whole spy mission stuff because I feel like that was too grounded for superheroes. But it is what it is. Not every movie can have a big cosmic threat, so I understand that. So that's why I have it in the B category. Just there's some nitpicks in there. Others would probably be in the A category. Next is Captain America: The First Avenger. I'm gonna put it in the C category. I know a lot of people like this movie because it's a classic. For sure, it is a classic, but it just wasn't my style of movie. There wasn't really too much action. The plot was kind of short. It felt like most of the movie was just about Captain America becoming Captain America, not really trying to stop Red Skull and the Nazis in any way. It was just him trying to become a soldier and having to prove himself again and again. And then finally, towards the end of the movie, there was a small plot with Red Skull they finally revealing his plan, but then he kind of just vanished. And then the movie ended on a cliffhanger, which is cool, but they didn't really do anything with it in the next movie. They just kind of jumped away from that, never came back to that scene. I would have loved to see more of Captain America's integration into society. That would have been awesome. But it is what it is. So yeah, it's in the May category or the C category. The next is Captain America: Civil War. Yeah, this sucks. It's such a bad movie. It really sucks. Okay, on the next one. I'm just kidding. Captain America: Civil War is one of the greatest movies of all time, in my opinion. It is my favorite MCU movie of all time. I loved the movie so much. I cannot tell you how much I love this movie. The plot was amazing. All the characters, but mainly Captain America versus Iron Man, was so true to the comics. Oh my god, it was the best fighting, best Marvel movie comic accuracy I've ever seen before. It was so cool. Zemo was a great villain, or great kind of side villain, I guess, because I guess the government was the main villain towards, like, for most of the movie, and then Zemo was the villain towards the end. When Bucky's return as an actual hero was cool. Spider-Man's first ever appearance in the MCU was awesome. This movie had it all. I would have loved. The only thing I could say that makes this movie better would be adding Thor and Hulk into that. But I feel like it's good that they didn't add in Thor and Hulk into that, because in the comics there was some issues with the Civil War storyline to where there were so many characters other than Captain America and Iron Man who were way more OP than them, like really powerful, and it kind of felt like Captain America and Iron Man were dwarfed in power compared to these guys that were on their teams. And I was like, well, why are these guys on the teams if it's just about Captain America and Iron Man? So I'm glad they didn't put in the two most powerful characters being Thor and Hulk. And I'll get to Thor and Hulk in a minute, because Ragnarok was a great movie as well. So yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it. So yeah, all right, let's go to the next movie. Doctor Strange was a meh movie. I didn't like it, in my opinion, that much. I never really liked Strange as a character that much. I thought he was way too cocky to be a superhero. Doctor for sure, but superhero, it just didn't feel like I could relate to him becoming a superhero, because it felt like he was just there because he felt like that was his duty. It never really felt like he wanted to do. He would, like. It's not like he would. It doesn't feel like he would go around saving, preventing robberies and stuff like that in the city like any other superhero would do. Like Iron Man would do that in a heartbeat, or like he wouldn't go and try to find terrorists and stop terrorism, or with his magic he could probably solve world hunger or something like that. But no, he doesn't want to do that. He just feels like it's not a superhero movie. It feels like it's some weird psychic twist, because of all the different illusions in the movie and stuff like that, and the whole trippiness of it. But then again, it's Doctor Strange. It was a decent storyline, but not great in terms of everything else. So for that reason, it's in the C category. A lot of people are gonna hate me for that, but it is what it is. Also, Endgame, also trash movie. I just didn't really like any characters in it. It sucked compared to these two guys up top on S. Yeah, Endgame sucked. It was bad. Next is Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm kidding again. So basically, Endgame is also an S tier. It was also a very good movie. I have it actually placed after Infinity War. I think Infinity War was better than Endgame, because I thought just in general everything was a little bit better. Pretty much the same otherwise. Like if Infinity War didn't have some stuff in it, like for example, if it didn't have maybe like the introduction of Stormbreaker, that whole scene, if they had a little less Thanos development in his character, then maybe it would be around the same. But since they had so much in-depth detail in that movie, I have to put it higher than Endgame. So that's why it is higher. Then next we have Guardians of the Galaxy. I put it in the D category. It's not actually supposed to be in there. I was just joking around. It's going to go in the okay category. It was an okay movie. I liked it. It felt like a family of superheroes who were out there just to do good. And it was a really fun movie. Really cool dynamic between all the characters. Very funny as well. Yeah, it was a good movie. So it's going to be in the B category. Next is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'm going to put it in the meh category. It was not better than the first Guardians of the Galaxy. The first Guardians of the Galaxy trumped it. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was weird. I didn't really like the whole Yondu Star-Lord thing. I feel like Yondu just quickly had a change of heart. Like, he tried to kill him throughout most of the movie, and then all of a sudden he decided that he loves Star-Lord, which was really weird. I liked Nebula a lot in this movie. She was one of my favorite characters in this movie. Obviously, Baby Groot as well. Baby Groot was also a very good part of this movie. Drax is always fun. Mantis was a good character. I liked her a lot too. So, yeah, not a terrible movie, but not one of my favorites. And then we have Spider-Man Far From Home. I will be putting that in the B category. I know a lot of people are quick to put Spider-Man movies up in the higher categories because No Way Home, and because Spider-Man. But honestly, I like Spider-Man a lot too. I'm a very big Spider-Man fan, but I feel like Far From Home was good, but I felt like it was a kind of not Spider-Man movie. It felt more like an Iron Man movie. Like if this was an Iron Man movie, it would be a very good movie because of all the tech stuff and how much relation they have to him. But I guess that was all following the whole. Well, I guess Spider-Man is, Iron Boy Jr. I guess basically because this movie had so much relation to him and Iron Man. It didn't really feel like a Spider-Man movie. So for that reason, it's gonna be farther below and into the B category. Still a good movie though. Next is The Incredible Hulk. I have only watched this movie one time, and I didn't really like it all that much, but obviously it wasn't really with all the different MCU assets with it at the time, it was kind of on its own. They didn't have Ed Norton. They had Ed Norton as Hulk and not Mark Ruffalo, who I think, in my opinion, is the better Hulk. I just love Mark Ruffalo's Hulk so much. One of my favorite characters in the MCU for sure. And Mark Ruffalo is just a great actor as well. So for that, and there's also not great storyline telling. There was a lot of introduction of characters which are now being used in the MCU finally, like Betty Ross, Mark Ruffalo, or Bruce Banner's love interest in this movie finally returned after not being in a single MCU thing in years. In What If. So we know she is in the MCU canon, and we know this movie is MCU canon because she is in What If. So we know that Marvel acknowledges her and might use her in the future. Next we have the original Iron Man movie, or is Iron Man 2? Sorry, it's Iron Man 2, sorry. Iron Man 2 was not a great movie. I didn't really like it that much. Therefore, it will be in the C category as well. I thought Whiplash was a very forgettable character. The action scenes were not great at all. Iron Man and Rhodey's dynamic was very cool. I liked seeing them fight together and talk to each other, friendly banter, all that stuff. Very funny. I like that cool stuff. That was a good stuff in terms of the Iron Man stuff, but everything else in the movie was kind of bad. Next is Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 was a C movie as well. I liked the whole Harley Keener Iron Man thing. I wish they brought him back into the MCU. I think he would have been really cool for him to be Iron Boy Jr. instead of having that huge, that for almost for no reason making him and Spider-Man have that kind of father-son connection. But I guess since Harley Keener actually does have parents, I couldn't really do that. But he still was kind of supposed to be like an Iron Boy Jr. Because he was super interested in him and knew who he was and really geeked out every time he talked to him and stuff like that. So, yeah. That's just my take on it, but you can think whatever. Also, I didn't really like AIM in this movie. I felt like they should have gone with the comics AIM, where it's just mainly, it's science-based and experiment-based, but, AIM is more of a threat in the comics than in the movie. So, yeah. I liked the Mandarin with Trevor Slattery as the actor, whatever, that was fun. Next we have the original Iron Man. That one for sure is a amazing movie. So that will be in the amazing category. That's the A category. Very good movie. First movie in the A category. Not amazing, not my favorite movie, but it still is a very good movie. I loved the introduction of Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. is one of the most perfect castings you could have ever selected in the history of movies. There's no one else you could pick to play that part better than him. There's no one else. Apparently Tom Cruise was selected to play him, or was asked to play him before Robert Downey Jr., but Tom Cruise turned down the role, and I'm glad he did, because I don't think Tom Cruise could have done this role as well as Robert Downey Jr. did. Robert Downey Jr. brought it. He was amazing as Iron Man. It's sad to see him, gone now after Endgame, but maybe one day in the future, with the whole multiverse stuff, maybe he'll pop in there. We don't know. Yeah. So maybe we'll even see a Tom Cruise version of him from the multiverse or something. Next we have Black Panther. Black Panther was a trash movie. I hated it so much. Such a bad movie. I'm just kidding. It was an A movie. It was a very good movie. I loved the whole African, true African culture they had in this movie with the almost all African American or African cast for each character, because they didn't really try to they tried didn't really try to diverse it, because there's no point in diversing it. It's all about Africa, which I loved. They really embraced that African side of the movie, and they really went in depth with all the culture, bringing in Michael B. Jordan, who's a phenomenal actor, Chadwick Boseman, a great actor, Denai Guerrera, who plays Okoye, amazing actor as well, amazing actress, I should say. But yeah, all those characters fit so perfectly in this movie. The story was great, seeing that dynamic between Killmonger and T'Challa. That was an awesome, like every time they had a scene together, it was just like fireworks, sparking. Like, it was awesome. It was so cool. Claw was a smaller part of this movie. I thought he was going to be the main villain, but maybe that's for Black Panther too. Next we have Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man Homecoming was the first solo movie for Spider-Man in the MCU, and I thought it was a pretty good movie. I thought it was an A-tier movie. I really liked Spider-Man's introduction to this because it felt like a Spider-Man movie. Far From Home, which really felt like an Iron Man movie, Spider-Man felt like an actual Spider-Man movie. Obviously, I didn't like it as much as the the other Spider-Man movies, like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, and Tobey Maguire movies. I still liked those, or some of those, quite a bit more than this one, but it was still a very good MCU movie because of all the stuff that it had in it. It really felt like an MCU Spider-Man movie, a perfect movie for the MCU that contained Spider-Man. It felt really good. Definitely had some flaws with a little bit of the story. It felt like it was kind of just going in a straight line. It was just him trying to, be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong. But going from being in Civil War with all the other superheroes, it felt like you would have seen Spider-Man take on some, non-friendly neighborhood Spider-Man villains. But Vulture was a great pick as well. I just wish they did some more stuff with him. Michael Keaton was great in the movie as Vulture. Ned was great. Jacob Batalon, he's a great actor as well. Very funny movie. Lots of good action in it. The final battle was one of my favorite scenes ever, when he was fighting Vulture in the air, on the airplane, and the ground and stuff like that. That was really cool to see. And the whole dynamic with him trying to, keep Tony's, stuff and the Avengers stuff alive, trying to, prove to Tony that he could be a hero. That was really cool. So yeah. Next we have Thor, the original Thor. That will be in the B tier. I think it was a good movie. I loved the whole focus on Asgard. I loved the first Thor movie for that, and I loved Thor Ragnarok even more for that, because it was mainly, an Asgard movie and a space movie, which is where Thor usually is in the comics, and is more accurate compared to this movie and Thor the Dark World. Thor the Dark World really didn't do anything in Asgard. It was mainly an Earth movie with Thor, and it felt really bad. I'll get into Thor Dark World in a little bit. Thor, the first Thor movie, was good because it was kind of a mix of both. So not enough Asgard that I would have wished, but it was still a decent movie. Seeing Thor, and Chris Hemsworth is a really good fit for that role as well. There are a few other people that maybe could have been better, but in my opinion, I think Chris Hemsworth was a great match for Thor. So yeah. Then the next is Thor the Dark World. Thor the Dark World was a D movie. It was so bad. Really boring. I've fallen asleep every time I've watched the movie after I watched it the first time. I watched it a full time, don't worry. But, I just can't bring myself to watch it ever again in full length. Not really ever a funny movie. I loved Darcy's introduction in this movie, doing a little bit more of a bigger character. She's always the bright spot of these the original Thor movies, because she really is, the comedic relief, but she's really funny too. And it's kind of doesn't feel like she's just there for comedic relief. It feels like she's there to actually help, but she's just so funny that you got caught up in it. She's very funny, and I liked her in WandaVision as well, but I'll get into that in a little bit. Next is Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok is a phenomenal movie. That's going to be in the S tier as well, behind Endgame and behind Infinity War. Thor Ragnarok was a great movie. I really liked it a lot. Yeah. So this movie was very good because I really liked the darker side of this movie, but I also liked the introduction of Hela. I also really liked the whole Ragnarok theme, staying true to both the mythology and the comics, in which Surtur actually is bringing about the end of Asgard. And I love the setup for Infinity War as well. Great movie to set up Infinity War, especially with the heavy, the heavy focus on Thor in Infinity War. It was a great setup for him. Also explained where him and Hulk were during Civil War, which is, basically this movie is smack dab in between chronologically my two of my favorite movies, which being Civil War and Infinity War, and also it being also my favorite movies. It just provides me some really good storytelling there because all three of those movies are great, and chronologically they're like almost like in terms of Thor Ragnarok, they're almost right next to each other. So great for that. Obviously, Thor Ragnarok takes place a little bit longer after Civil War ends. So basically, it's technically after Black Widow is when Thor Ragnarok starts. So technically, Thor Ragnarok is a little bit, it's not technically right between them, but if you take away Black Widow, at the time before Black Widow was released, they were right between them, and basically it was just a full stretch of, Infinity Saga closure content, basically, and it was really cool. So I love Thor Ragnarok, and a lot of people else do. It's a very funny movie, really good action scenes, good storytelling, great acting, by like Jeff Goldblum, the person who plays Valkyrie, I forgot what her name was. She's a pretty good actor too. Mark Ruffalo also, Chris Hemsworth. What's her name? The girl who plays Hela. I forgot what her name was. Cate Blanchett. She's also a very good actress as well. Obviously Idris Elba as Heimdall. Obviously Loki as well. Great addition to the movie. Very cool movie in my opinion. All right, we're coming close to the end here. We have the original Avengers movie, and that will be in the go in the A category, please. The A category for me. Very good movie. One of my favorite Avengers movies. Not my favorite Avengers movie. It's my third favorite because obviously Infinity War and Endgame are in the S tier. Avengers in the A tier, and then Ultron is in the B tier. So it is my third favorite Avengers movie, but if Infinity War and Endgame had not come out, it would be my favorite because it just really was the start of the MCU in my opinion. Because the MCU has always been about including other characters from other franchises in the same movies almost, kind of. That's what really makes it an MCU instead of just a Marvel, franchise. It's a whole cinematic universe, which really I feel like Avengers was the first movie to do this, and I really enjoyed it. Next we have WandaVision. So WandaVision, in my opinion, was one of the best TV shows for Marvel. I think it was very good. I'm gonna put it in the A tier. I really enjoyed it while it was coming out. I was hooked after every episode. There was really only the first two episodes were really the only weak points in the series in my opinion. 'Cause I feel like those movies didn't really do much to further along the series. It kind of didn't. I kind of wish they just made that one episode instead of making that two episodes, and just kind of squish them together because I feel like there wasn't too much introduction really in either of them. So if you made one of them by combining both of those, it might have been a better episode, because you would have had more introduction and more story in one, along with whatever else they wanted to add with both the first and the second. So yeah, in my opinion, very good. But also they did technically do that because they released the first and second episode on the day of release. Technically they did do that, but I wish they just already had made that an episode combined of them. But it is what it is. So WandaVision, great series. I really liked it a lot. One of my favorite MCU properties. Next is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I felt like it didn't really have too much to do with the overall MCU storyline, especially with Phase 4, having this whole split between cosmic and Earth, like where some movies are about, more Earth-based, kind of like Black Widow was, and then there's some movies that are like super cosmic based, like what's it called? Like kind of like No Way Home was a mix of them, but then like kind of what am I trying to go for here? Like maybe like Loki is kind of a cosmic based thing, and kind of like Eternals also. Even though Eternals is on Earth, it's more of a cosmic thing. So I'm with the whole like split between Earth and cosmic movies. I feel like it was towards the top of the earthly stuff that we've gotten so far. Obviously, it's gonna be more like Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, that kind of stuff. But Falcon and Winter Soldier was a good series. It just didn't have too much to do. You could have not watched the series, and you would have been fine because you only really would have missed out on knowing that Sharon Carter is bad now, and knowing that John Walker is a U.S. agent now. That's pretty much the only thing you would have missed. Or everything else is pretty non-important, but yeah. It was cool to see Falcon finally become Captain America, though, and his journey to becoming Captain America and really understanding the role. I thought that was really cool, but yeah, definitely B tier for me. Next would be Loki. Loki was a great series. That's going to be in the S tier for me. It is one of my top 6 favorite movies. It's my 6th favorite MCU thing, not my 5th. I think you guys can guess already what my top other one for the top 5 would be, but I'm not gonna tell that yet, obviously, because I'm trying to get there. So, anyways, Loki is 6th for me. Very good series. Really opened up the multiverse for everyone who didn't really have too much of a background on it. And it was really good introduction to the multiverse. I loved that about the thing. I loved about the series. I thought this was gonna be one of the worst MCU things to come for Phase 4. Cause I never really thought Loki was that interesting of a character, but this series changed it for me. He is a really compelling character. Had a lot of good acting scenes in this movie with Tom Hiddleston. Owen Wilson was a great addition as well. And obviously I'm a little biased because I love the Cars movies, and Owen Wilson plays Lightning McQueen. Obviously, I think he's one of the best parts of the movie, but I'm biased because I love the Cars movies. But anyways, that's besides the point. Loki, great series. All the episodes engaged me. Very cool. Next, also, in the inclusion of TVA was unexpected because I don't really know that much about Loki, but apparently, and I don't really know much about the TVA in the comics either. And the fact that they brought them in and used them that heavily and made it interesting was cool. Considering that they're not that popular in the comics. So yeah, really cool addition and good job at Marvel. Next would be Shang Chi. Shang Chi is one of the best fighting movies in the MCU. The choreography is awesome. The story is really good. The comedy is really nice. Only nitpicks I really had with it were that some of the actors didn't feel like they really belonged. Like the sister felt like she was the good, like compared to how they showed her as a kid, the sister showed up to me more hostile in the movie, which that was the only really nitpick I had. I feel like she should have been written in a different way, but it is what it is. Movie was a great movie overall. I don't really have too much to say about this movie. A tier movie for sure. Great movie. One of the best Marvel movies I've seen in a long time. Next is Black Widow. Black Widow was a C movie. I liked a lot about the movie, but I didn't really like the main parts of it. Like the story was kind of lacking. Black Widow as a character was kind of lacking. I know people are gonna hate me for that, but I really did enjoy her in a lot of other movies, and I didn't really even like her that much in this movie. I feel like this movie would have been a lot better had it actually been released after Civil War. It would have been a way better movie. But since it was released way after, it just kind of felt like her movie didn't really belong to be in the MCU. I didn't really like it all that much. I think it was a okay-ish movie. I liked Yelena a lot. She is one of my favorite female superheroes in the MCU right now. She is so funny. Really good at fighting, obviously, because she's a Black Widow as well, too. So I'm really excited to see what they have in store for her. She was great in Hawkeye as well. But yeah, Black Widow, not a great thing. Next is the What If series. The What If will also go in the B category. What If was a good series, but I felt like there were some episodes that actually outshined the rest of the series. The whole overarching storyline was cool because like it's supposed to be different universes, and they made it all into one. So also a pretty good introduction to the MCU multiverse. But there was some stuff, like some episodes that just really didn't seem like they were all that, cool. But the rest of the series was okay. So I'm gonna put it in the B category. But yeah, it was a decent series. Next is Hawkeye. We're coming in the home stretch here. Hawkeye. A lot of people didn't like this series, but I actually did. I thought it was a pretty good series. Unexpectedly, I didn't think it was gonna be that good of a series, but it surprised me. It was a funny series. It was kind of like a sitcom almost, because like it was like a whole, funny like mentor, relationship with Hawkeye and Kate Bishop. Kate Bishop is a very good character that they brought in. Super excited for what they have for her in the future as Hawkeye. And I want to see what they do with Clint Barton's Hawkeye in the future as well, because he seemed like they gave him a lot of character development in this series that I feel like he really needed. I feel like he never really got too much character development, even though he's been in like 8 Marvel movies now. Yeah, but I'm so glad he got this series. The series was really pretty good, actually. The one issue I have with it is that the whole MCU timeline thing, because apparently we all expected that this series would be, happening around the same time as No Way Home, because the whole, we all saw the Christmas tree and rocket. Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there. So, I think I was talking about, Hawkeye. Okay, I don't remember what I was talking about. So if there's my, dialogue was cut short, you know why now. But yeah, okay. So, next 2 movies are, Eternals. Okay, so Eternals was a decent movie. It was a good movie, but there were some scenes in it, like, obviously, Marvel has never really gone into a full, cosmic thing, like really based off. Basically, yeah, they never really did a full cosmic movie. This movie had some scenes in it that I didn't really think fit into a Marvel movie. The Eternals they had some great actors in it. They had, Angelina Jolie. They had, what's it called? Kumail Nanjiani, who was really funny in the movie. They had a lot of good comedy, a lot of good action scenes actually, but there were very few of them. Like, the action scenes were all pretty good, but there was very few of them. There were like 3 or 4 battles that I really remember from the movie. There was a forest scene, which was pretty good. The final battle, obviously, and the first beginning battle in London were pretty much the only scenes that I really remember that were that good. There were action scenes, and all of them were really good. So, great. Kudos to them on the action. The action was great. No really flaws with that. Just wish there were more. The storyline was pretty good, but it was kind of, pointless, because they talked about the Celestials, and they talked about the origins of the Eternals themselves, but made the Celestials look like gods, which is, first of all, might be, a little bit intrusive. Second of all, in the comics at least, the Eternals and the Celestials were, yeah, they were powerful, but they weren't, all powerful in the comics at least. They weren't like these, more powerful than like Thanos type characters. Like, Thanos with all 6 Infinity Stones in the comics is more powerful than some of the Celestials. It's just, I guess since they're these big creatures, they have to be so important into the MCU. So I'm gonna put it in the B category. It was a good movie, but not a great movie either. There was some bad stuff that was in it that I didn't really like, and there's also some good stuff in it that I appreciated. But yeah, all right, we're down to the last thing now, and we'll get onto some honorable mentions, or some ones that weren't added into this. But first, we're gonna go ahead and go on with the last updated MCU film / anything we've gotten, and that is Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home was my 3rd favorite MCU film. Second favorite MCU film. It was a great movie in my opinion. Wait, I just completely messed up my order. Let me fix that quickly. Yeah. So basically, No Way Home was a great movie. I loved everything about it. That was a true Spider-Man movie. Better than Homecoming in terms of the fact that they fixed all of MCU Peter Parker and MCU Spider-Man's issues by, MCU, all the Peter Parker scenes were really about his moral conflict, him being Peter Parker and really having to understand what morally is right for him and what morally is wrong in his book, But then for Spider-Man, the scenes really were good because it showed that Spider-Man wasn't just like a protector of Peter Parker. It felt like he was a, protector for everyone. Like Spider-Man is a symbol of hope for everybody. And, this movie really brought that into the frame because, Spider-Man, first of all, in the comics at least, he's always been, obviously he's been involved in numerous events outside of Earth, but he's really been the main, kind of like Batman for the MCU, in terms of the fact that he does mainly most of the stuff on the streets, but he's one of the bigger heroes for that, He's just a staple of superheroes, and he's the peak of what a superhero is, what a protector of the universe is. He is the ultimate Avenger. Sorry for the creaking of my chair, that's just how it is. But yeah, this movie had it all. It had comedy, it had action, it had story, it had, fan service, but not in a way that it was too fan servicey to where you could tell like they were just doing this so that to make fans happy. Like, no. Like, they were planning this for a long time. It fits in for the story and it actually makes sense. It's not just like, one of those movies that where like the fans ask for it and the directors just make it happen without actually, putting too much work and putting too much effort into it, and they just go into it and they, say, well, we got that for you, you should be happy now. Like, it was kind of like a better version of Zack Snyder's Justice League. I felt like he tried to do too much fan service in that one without making a whole lot of sense in all of them. I mean, for sure it was better than the original Justice League, but Zack Snyder's Justice League was kind of like that. No Way Home was not. Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man really felt like it belonged. Just because if all the villains are in there, why are the heroes not in there? So if the movie didn't have that, it really would have felt like an incomplete movie. And it really does feel like they belonged in the movie. And it was just so awesome to see that, this is biased, but I'm just so glad that they actually gave these guys, the other original Spider-Man, more, closure to their stories, but also left the open book for them as well. Especially for Andrew Garfield's, because the fact that they had all that foreshadowing about him, not fighting an alien ever before, or ever going to space or anything like that, or dealing with anything really the other Spider-Man had made. He was really so different from the other Spider-Man that you couldn't really relate to them that much, except for the whole MJ and love connection stuff with Tobey Maguire, where they were talking about MJ, he was talking about Gwen. They did some fan service stuff, but most of the movie was just it belonged to be that way, and I'm super excited to see what they do with the next, trilogy, next Spider-Man movie, whatever they do. Tom Holland's Spider-Man was obviously the main character of the movie, but I never felt like he was overshined by Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. I felt like he was always still the main character, even when Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire were on screen with him. I loved seeing them share their stories and what it means to be a Spider-Man from each of them. It really, brought the story, 100% all the way in around. It really felt like Tom Holland's Spider-Man could have ended with the way the movie ended. Like, they could just not do any more movies, and it would make sense. It honestly would. They could just not bring him back. I'm not saying that I don't want them to do that. I'm just saying that if, for some reason, they don't decide to bring him back, it would make sense. The way the movie left off, it's a very sad ending for his character, obviously, but that's the life of Spider-Man. He's never really has a happy ending. Something always has to go wrong. So, yeah, there were some stuff that I wish would have happened in the movie, and that would have been the Mephisto stuff. They really feel like they're just teasing us now, because they just take, especially with WandaVision and this movie, they just take stories that Mephisto's in, and then they just cut him out of it, it feels like. So, that's the only one nitpick I have with it, really, but, that's just up to the directors. I'm sure they're going to include him in one of these movies to come. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the end of the video. I know this is a very long video, but I will try to have chapters installed on the video, so that you can just, people can scroll through and find what movies they're looking for. Or you just can watch the movies that you want to see, and just forward through. I honestly don't mind. But yeah, it's a little bit longer a video. I'm sorry for that. Might cut this into 2 parts when I'm, releasing it, but we'll see. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really enjoyed making this video, and I hope you guys can let me know what your thoughts are in the comics, what your favorite movie is, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.